every night, I dream the same dream. And then... the nightmare begins.
What do you get when you cross the entirety of Marvel Comics with a quality trip down Chronic Boulevard and a kaleidoscope? You get Marvel's love letter to its own cinematic history starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Elizabeth Olsen, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Benedict Wong, Xochitl Gomez, Michael Stuhlbarg, and Rachel McAdams. That's what you get. My name is Travis, and this is Planet Recap. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what you need to know before watching Marvel Studios' 28th film and 34th chapter, whether this is the very first MCU property you've been introduced to, or you're just a casual viewer of the series and need a quick brushing up. I'm here to fill you in on everything that's going to be for. Let's begin. So I can't truly dissect the preludes of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness without first explaining one important matter, that being the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU. A collection of, so far, 33 cleverly woven, interlinked properties that begin with Iron Man in 2008 and has journeyed through until Moon Knight in 2022. Okay, so where to even begin with this one? Seriously though, this movie is combining so many moving parts, so much history and creative nostalgia both on-screen and off-screen into a single film that is undoubtedly going to hit all the same sweet beats that Spider-Man No Way Home did. But I truly feel like there are 4 major need-to-know points of interest to 110% understand this bonkers film. So, bonkers point of interest number 1, the titular Stephen Strange. Dr. Stephen Strange is your typical residential MCU sorcerer / master of the mystic arts / combatant of malevolent interdimensional entities who began as a dick neurosurgeon turned aforementioned powerful as hell sorcerer thanks to a very humbling car accident that desperately led him to a mythical knot cult in Tibet where the likes of the all-knowing Ancient One, the no-nonsense Beyonce fanboy librarian Wong, and the loyal but slightly off recruiter of sorcerers Mordo taught him the ways of the mystic arts. It was through this newfound reason to be a kick-ass dude that Dr. Stephen Strange used the art of astral projection, teleportation, levitation, energy manipulation, and his overall intellect to protect our reality from a dark dimensional god entity, save the universe from an alien eco-terrorist, and keep every plane of reality from crashing through each other. See him become one of the most powerful characters in all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Bonkers point of interest number 2, the also titular Multiverse, behind-the-scenes edition. Something huge to consider going into this film is the idea of the multiverse. So, in the way the first 3 phases of the MCU are 100% focused on the culmination of the 6 very powerful cosmic infinity stones, Phase 4 and the foreseeable future appear to be building and utilizing this bananas idea of a multiverse. What the flurkin does that mean exactly? Well, essentially, at this point in time, major movie studios are playing nice in the superhero sandbox. Once upon a time, you would never see the likes of Iron Man, Wolverine, Spidey, and the Human Torch share screen time together. That's all thanks to the wonderful world of film rights. 20th Century Fox owns X-Men and Fantastic Four, Sony owns Spider-Man and all Spider-Man adjacent properties, and Disney and Marvel Studios take the lion's share with the rest. At this particular point in time, however, Disney has since bought out 20th Century Fox, and Marvel Studios and Sony are co-parenting Spider-Man together. All of these behind-the-scenes contract signings and handshaking are giving fans what they've always dreamt. Having all the Marvel characters under one beautiful umbrella and witnessing interactions between characters they've never seen before on the silver screen. This was gloriously evident in Tom Holland's Spidey threequel, Spider-Man No Way Home, where we got to see 3 generations of Peter Parkers fight villains from each of their universes. And everyone cried happy tears. Don't even pretend you didn't. That brings us to bonkers point of interest number 3, the Multiverse, on-screen edition. So the way the films are now conveying the studio acquisitions and friendly camaraderie is by stating that essentially every film franchise exists within its own universe. The Tobey Spider-Man films, the Andrew Spider-Man films, the broader MCU, the X-Men and Deadpool films, Fantastic Four, Ghost Rider, Venom, Blade, all individual universes, timelines, parallel dimensions, whatever you want to call them, all coexisting simultaneously, flowing together along what is known as the sacred timeline. This was one of the main focuses in the Loki series when we are introduced to the big realization that the MCU is not the only universe, but one of an infinite amount, all contained within this sacred timeline. Think of it as a bundle of cables all pressed together, and each individual cable is one of the aforementioned film franchises. Also in Loki, we learn of the existence of variants. So characters like the ones we know of and love very much in the MCU timeline can in fact exist in other timelines. We meet many a mischievous Loki in his 6-episode Disney Plus series. This is also the logic used in Spider-Man No Way Home that brought Tobey Maguire Peter Parker Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield Peter Parker Spider-Man into Tom Holland Peter Parker Spider-Man's universe, via a botched Doctor Strange spell actually. Speaking of botched, putting the bundle of cables metaphor aside, imagine now the multiverse as a whole as a simple glass of water. The glass casing representing the natural order of things as we know it, and the water inside representing complete and utter chaos. Introduce a half a dozen taps of a hammer, and that's exactly what's been happening over the last few years in the MCU. Stephen Strange willy-nilly pulling other characters into the mirror dimension, as well as forcing the universe into a 1 out of 14 million possible realities into existence. The Avengers tampering with the stability of space-time by rewriting the MCU timeline via time travel. MCU Loki and a Loki variant splitting the sacred timeline into a billion free-for-all timelines. Stephen Strange accidentally pulling in dozens of individuals into the MCU from alternate timelines because they happen to know a certain wall crawler's identity. At this point, the glass of water is ready to shatter. And with that, we close out with Bonkers Point of Interest number 4, Wanda Maximoff. Dick Van Dyke show-loving fangirl turned orphan turned radical protester turned science experiment turned Avengers villain turned self-proclaimed Avenger herself, Wanda Maximoff is no stranger to tragedy and loss. She's witnessed the deaths of both of her parents, her twin brother Pietro, and her synthetic British android love interest Vision. Twice, actually. After an emotional ending to Avengers Endgame, Wanda travels alone to Westview, New Jersey, where she and the late Vision intended to spend their happily ever after. In an emotional rock-bottom moment, Wanda's grief literally explodes out of her and consumes the town of Westview and its residents within a red hex. This self-contained magic alters the reality of everything and everyone within this hex into an American sitcom reality, as well as resurrects her deceased love Vision, letting Wanda live out her happily ever after, real or not. This is the amazing and emotional plot of the first Disney Plus series, WandaVision. While living out their sitcom lives decade at a time, Wanda and Vision mysteriously conceive two twin boys who they name Tommy and Billy. The series plays out like a Twilight Zone-esque false reality, showcasing just how powerful Wanda truly is as she holds the minds of the New Jersey town hostage, and herself tries to keep her fabricated life from falling apart. It's revealed at the end that Wanda isn't just a powerful bitch. She's actually a prophesized being capable of spontaneous creation. The Scarlet Witch. This is, by the way, all according to a dark spellbook called the Darkhold.
I'm not a witch. I don't cast spells. No one taught me magic.
Your power exceeds that of the Sorcerer Supreme. It's your destiny to destroy the world.
Hesitant to accept this ominous calling, Wanda eventually embraces the badass title of the most powerful being in existence, diminishes her hex on the town, taking with it everyone she created, which includes her now husband Vision, who she watches die again, as well as her own two children. She flies away and takes up residence in a faraway cabin in the mountains where she drinks tea and lives her best life. That's of course a total momentary fake out, as we then see Wanda in full Scarlet Witch mode reading spells from the Darkhold spellbook, hearing the cries from her non-existent children. For the condensed yet definitive Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness experience, I recommend checking out Doctor Strange, Loki, and WandaVision. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the story so far. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Every view and every subscription seriously means the world. If you enjoyed anything about this video, please hit the subscribe button and stay caught up with the always expanding MCU. You'll see a new video from me shortly before any new MCU movie or series debuts. That being said, please enjoy Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.